recruiter. So quick introduction, I'm Clint Hawkins. I work for GEE Corporation. The division that I've been with the past couple of years is called Agile Resources, which is based out of Atlanta, Georgia. But now I'm actually part of all of our sister companies, which includes Access Data, Paladin, and SNI. And yeah, if you guys do know me, it probably means at one point I've helped you look for a job. If you don't know me, that's what I do for a living. It used to be my slogan is I help people smarter than me find a job, because literally everybody I interact with is way smarter than me. It's just, this is the world I live in, is posting ads on LinkedIn, looking through applications and helping people get interviews with our clients. So let's hop into it. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about the mystery that happens whenever you all go to and apply for a job online. So I'm going to bring up my screen, and what I'm going to start off with is this screen here, which this is the older ad that I had posted back in 2021. And I was working with a client that was based in Atlanta, Georgia. And however, they were hiring 100% remote. If you guys remember 2021, everyone still just thought we were going to be working remote, right? You remember that? Everybody was going to work remote forever. And now everybody's changing, trying to go back to being hybrid and all the things. Well, we posted this ad. We had a client looking for this type of role. It was like a marketing project manager. So it was like a mix of someone that had experience with e-commerce and digital asset work. And so this was the ad that was posted. And this probably looks typical to you guys. Like usually there's a little logo, you got the job title, company name that's hiring, you got some information here about the job. What you guys don't see is the next part of my screen that I'm going to pull up is what does it look like behind the scenes? Like once you do apply, and never mind this data here, since this job's not live, this dashboard doesn't show up anymore. But what it did result in is this. If you guys can see this here, I don't know how to grab a highlighter on here very quickly, but I'm just going to do it this way. I'm going to scroll my screen up too. This here, that ad created 299 results. So that means 299 people applied to the ad. What that does when you apply to the ad, which is probably looking different to you guys here. This is what looks different that you've probably never seen unless you're a recruiter or you've had access to this as a hiring manager. This is the behind the scenes version of LinkedIn. So this is actually where your ad reply shows up, and it looks like this. Your profile gets summarized into this little section right here, this content here. And then each candidate applied shows up. So just giving you a quick highlight of like what that looks like. And it is short. It's your last job, where you live or where you're based out of, and then your experiences, and then your education. And it'll say the skills match. So this is very brief. Like, so this is what we initially see as a recruiter. So 299 of these. So you ask yourself, well, how long does it take to review 299 resumes or applicants? Well, in this version here, I'm looking at Aaron's background though, and I've got about, oh gosh, we're talking about probably a 1, 2, 3, like a 3-second review of Aaron. And I can look at his last job, last couple jobs. I can do this and drop down and see a little bit more. And then, but the other piece I can do is I can click on Aaron's name, and it pops up this actual full version of his profile. Now, this is where most of you probably have never seen this either, but this is how someone in HR or a recruiter is actually viewing your resume when you apply to an ad. This is what they see. Now, they probably get an email. They do get an email also in their inbox that has an attachment of the PDF, which would have been this PDF that you have uploaded onto LinkedIn. That goes into an inbox. But if you can imagine, if I have an inbox and I have one ad posted that had 299 responses. We're talking 300 emails with PDFs that I would have to sort through. Um, it ends up being it's quite a bit of content. So let's imagine I just took 30 seconds to review 300 people. Can anybody do the math for me while I keep talking and put it in the chat, the Q&A chat? Like, what's 300 reviews and this spending 30 seconds on each one? And I'm going to pop out here for a second and see what kind of questions I have because I can't see the Q&A while I'm actually sharing. So if you were job hunting and you applied to that, you're one of 300. Now, put it in perspective, the brand I posted that through, the company name that I posted that through. Thank you, Roy. Awesome. Is that Roy put it up in the chat for everybody. It's 150 minutes to 2.5 hours. So 2.5 hours to look if I gave everybody 30 seconds to review their their resume, their profile. So to put in perspective, the brand I posted that through, this is 2 years ago, is Agile Resources, and it's a smaller recruiting agency based in Atlanta, Georgia. Our following on LinkedIn is pretty decent. However, we are nothing compared to like a Home Depot, a Coca-Cola, Bank of America, Charter, anything. Chase Bank, anything that's like a big public brand. That number would probably be like 3,000 applicants versus 300. Just because the brand name's so big and how much they spend on LinkedIn, the competition is just crazy. So where am I going with this? If you know now that a recruiter's eyes, because it's based on our physical eyes, it's not AI, it's not some type of thing, like that's what's showing up. And then a recruiter, whether they're internal recruiter in corporate or they're an agency, they're going to sit here behind the screen and they're going to look through 300 ad replies. And you want to stand out. Like you're like raising your hand, like, how do we get them to respond to you? So here's a couple things I want to walk you through. And I did have a couple people volunteer so I can show, looking at pushing here. All right, perfect. Is there a same view job? Okay, 1 second. From Zishan, is that the same view for job poster? If the LinkedIn job apply link, take it to the company's corporate career site. It's similar. Yeah. Okay. So when you go to a company's career site on LinkedIn, they'll have a whole list of jobs and you apply. And then that'll push you into that exact same type of bucket, the same type of view I was showing you. What does it mean when LinkedIn indicates I would be a top applicant to a role? What is it looking at in your profile and the JD determine to make that determination? Does being a top applicant help the recruiter make a determination to talk to you? Okay, awesome question. So MJ, that's perfect. Let me show you what's happening and why it does that. Does anybody know a whole lot about SEO or metadata? You guys heard those expressions probably, right? Essentially, your content that's going to pop up. Let me make sure I'm opening the right window. Okay. The content that is going to pop up that says that you're a top pick for that is essentially the metadata of this job post. The content here matches up with the content of your profile. It is looking at associations of the job titles and your past job titles. It is not as complex as we would love it to be. So it's really just doing keyword matching for you automatically. And I know what you mean. Like it'll say you would be a top applicant. It's just trying to run. It's just running scenarios and looking at the comparison of your metadata of your resume and your LinkedIn profile versus that job. Now, how does it look for me in the project? That's a good question. So if I go back to the talent pool, I'm going to show you what's happening. So I've got people in a pipeline that I've searched for that I went and did. I hunted resumes. I've got folks that came from the application, which was the 300. It says 99 plus, but it was 300. And then I got recommended matches. So this is interesting because at the same way it's feeding you jobs, it will feed me people, whether they're job hunting or not. They'll feed me profiles that match up to the searches I've been doing and matching up with the job I posted. So the recommended matches right here. I got 40 recommended matches, today's top matches. So it is feeding me candidates into here that it thinks would be a good match. So it's doing the reverse. It's almost like it's playing matchmaker without asking permission from you or us. It'll feed you stuff that matches up with the jobs or the type of search I've been doing in my project. So let me go back over to our main screen. Let me go back to the pipeline actually. What it means if you're in a pipeline is that a recruiter has either reviewed your resume or your application and they pulled you into a pipeline, or they've done a search to look for you. And so this is the interesting thing. If I'm in the middle of a search, my search strings look like this. There's job titles, I got location, and then I have ability to do industries and keywords. So a little pro tip here, this keyword section is where a lot of recruiters do a search. Okay, but then they also have all these other filters turned on, like what job functions could it be? What industries, year of graduation, what schools did you attend to, your skills and assessment, and then you got job titles. So when you're here, there's a couple things I want to teach you guys. Your job title that your HR gave you at your old job might not compare well to the job titles that LinkedIn recognizes. And what I mean by that is, check this out. When I hit add and I'd start to put in marketing, LinkedIn automatically starts to prep me on, hey, here's the typical titles most humans have in this type of category. And so it starts prompting me, hey, stick to the basics, buddy. Let's just pick a marketing specialist. Hey, let's just pick a what's the next one? If I can type today on this Friday, let's pick a marketing coordinator. So and then it starts feeding me all these other titles. And it's trying to force me into this path of like, look for people that have basic chunky descriptions on their profiles already, not job titles that were kind of like made up particular for that company. That being said, when you look at yourself, when you look at your own profile, you need to think about that. And a good way to figure this out is to, you can actually look at all the job postings that are out there on LinkedIn and see if there's a pattern of like, what do other people call it? What I usually do? What do people call it that I usually do? Not what have I had the title of, because what ends up happening, you're not aligning your content, the metadata that you're tagging yourself with, to align with what does LinkedIn usually associate your skill set with. So again, it means you need to do the homework of like, what does LinkedIn usually think that type of skill set is called? Not what you call yourself usually or what your last company called you, but what does LinkedIn think that should be called? And so it's like, okay, Clint, well, what do you do with that? Well, here's where you go with that. I'm going to pick up, this is the back end of Margot's LinkedIn profile. So Margot is a friend of mine. I ended up placing her in a job from this ad. So she applied to this ad originally, this ad here. We did a phone screen, a video interview, and she interviewed with a client. And then she was placed at that client. Now, Margot's actually on the job market right now, and she gave me permission to show this to you guys. So this is the back end of what we see in Margot. So when we look at Margot's profile, even when I'm on the first page, and I'm at, like, this is the fully expanded version of her public profile, I really don't see any content yet about who Margot is, like her skill set or anything. All I see is her headline, school, her contact information. Sorry, Margo, to split your Gmail and phone number out for everybody. Hopefully you get an interview from that. And then we've got her preview of her PDF, which I can drop down and watch here. And this shows me her updated resume, in which if Margo, I don't think she can actually be on this one right now. She's actually in an interview right now, which is great. But here, she needed to update this profile here to include her last role, which was with a different company that she was with for a couple years. So this PDF is actually what most recruiters will click on and start to read is this PDF. So yeah, think about the two. Whatever you upload to LinkedIn, that PDF is what the recruiter or the HR person or the hiring manager is going to read right here in this. What's that mean? This version that you look at needs to be your 3-second and 1/3 rule. And what I mean by that is this is the top 1/3 of the resume here. If we look at that page, here's the second third, this chunk, and here's the bottom third, this chunk, the bottom piece. If you are doing the more of like a UX drill on yourself, the user experience of how does somebody see your resume and your content, I'm going to give you two real simple numbers to remember. 1/3 and 3 seconds. The top 1/3 of your front page, your first page of your resume, has to be loaded and ready to explain who you are in the top 1/3. And then you got to realize you only have about 3 seconds for somebody to read that top 1/3 to make a decision about you, to say, yes, I'm going to add them to my project and call them back. Or yes, I'm going to give them a thumbs up and not auto reject them. I'm going to hop off my screen share and see what kind of questions come up from that real quick. Okay, good question here. What about the resume you attached to the application before you applied to the LinkedIn job? Yes, okay. So if you don't use the default LinkedIn application, where it's like the easy apply, when you easy apply, it just takes whatever basic resume you have attached. I mean, and raise your guys' hands. You ever seen the easy, or not raise your hands, but you can comment like if you ever used the easy apply. Got it. So the easy apply just takes what you have and it sends it over and you're just one of the 300. Okay. When you customize your resume with your content, it does send that exact version into the inbox of the recruiter. And then that recruiter reviews that version. So if you change the top 1/3 to be specific to that job that's posted, that's going to give you an advantage. I guess the thing that I want to ask you guys too is like, does this seem really unfair? Like how much time you have? If I tell you it's 1/3 of your resume, the top 1/3 is 3 seconds. Does that seem unfair to you? I got a question here from Alex. I have a secondary part-time but active position teaching university course nights and weekends in my industry. Should I add that to the front page of my resume or put it at the end? Okay, that's a really good question. I would say if you have a part-time position, I would add it to the bottom and add a lot of content if it's relevant content that actually has metadata, like the phrases that you're talking about, that would help your resume have content overall that would lift you and put you up higher. It does get confusing. And there's another profile I'm going to pull up here in a second when you have multiple jobs where it says to present. If you have like a part-time job, a full-time job, you're a founder in a startup, and you have like 3 profiles that say like 2020 to present, that can be really confusing for a recruiter or a hiring manager, because maybe like, wait, so does Clint have 3 jobs right now? Or does he have 1 job he needs to quit to come work here? And it starts, and you might be a hustler and do all 3 things and kill it at all 3 things. But sometimes it can become confusing to whoever's reviewing you that you have 3 jobs that are all to present. So be careful of that. Given the market conditions, the recruiters certainly left less time to review resumes. Yes, Sam, that's right. You got less time. And there's a couple things that you can do to stand out when you're there. Because you do apply online, but I'm going to tell you a couple things that has worked for me. But people trying to get a job with me at a client or a job with us internally. A few summers ago, or yeah, it was a few summers ago, a few falls ago, I had a job posted up for a recruiter position for us internally. I had like 600 ad replies and growing. There was just a lot of folks applying to the ad. It was entry level. There wasn't a whole lot of skills things listed that you needed. Um, and there was a candidate that applied online, then added me on LinkedIn, then sent me an email on LinkedIn, then figured out my corporate email address, my real email address, and sent me a long email telling me without a resume attached, just saying, this is why I'm a fit for the job. I was 600 something people. I probably interviewed, like called and actually interviewed probably 30 of the people. The person that hammered me and actually followed up with me and like got like kind of got out amongst the 600 was the person I ended up hiring. So if right now, this is kind of a rant, the ecosystem of the job boards are really bad. Indeed, LinkedIn, all of them. It's just cluttered with a lot of like old jobs that aren't really open and a lot of fake resumes that were created automatically, like we using it chat GPT or AI, and those are getting applied to the jobs too. So sometimes when you see a job and it's posted and you see there's like 500 applicants, I would say half those people did an easy apply. They didn't really read it. Another chunk of those people are profiles were probably fake profiles that were sent against it, and somebody's trying to prospect and get leads from that company. So you have to like stand out and raise your hand even higher to say, hey, like I'm a real person. I really want that job and I'm really trying to pursue it. And you don't have to sit back and wait. I think sometimes with job boards and the way we're trained is like you apply and you sit back politely and you wait forever and don't do anything outside of that. This is how you need to step outside of that line, like the opposite of what we're taught to do in elementary school, like step out of line and walk up to the front of the lunch line and be like, I want to interview. I can do this job. I want to help you guys out. I can add value at your company. This is, I don't know why we get in this like apply like the what's the phrase somebody used the other day is like a spray and pray, like spray your resume everywhere out and just start praying that you're going to get an interview. It doesn't always work. Yes, Paris, hunt down the recruiter, find out who posted that job. The and Sam, yes, so applying to the same role through LinkedIn and a company site, yes, that's okay. Apply through LinkedIn and apply through their actual corporate site because those are two different systems. Sometimes the LinkedIn application will push over into their internal HR system. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it sits separately in another bucket. Like it could just sit separately actually in their just in their email and never ever go into the actual ATS, like their Workday system or whatever they're using to track applicants. So do apply there too. Because you don't know in any given day, is the recruiter or HR person or the hiring manager, are they in the ATS all day looking at it? Are they in their inbox? Are they on LinkedIn looking at it? So we don't know. So show up all the places and then try to hunt down the person that you think is the actual hiring manager for that. Let me scroll back up and read a couple more questions real quick. Paris, I don't think premium is worth it. I'm not sure why LinkedIn is trying to make candidates and people pay for premium. Here's the deal. If you're trying to find out who's hiring for that job, most likely there's going to be clues, hints and clues on the job order, like what division it's from. So you go, you grab that, you'll say like, we're hiring within this division of our company. We need a marketing manager within our blah, blah, blah. You take that, you go into LinkedIn and search that phrase and you search that company name and just look for the people that have management level titles, manager, director, VP. Look at their name, grab a notepad, write down their name or put it on a Google sheet and then figure out their corporate email address. And here's the hack for that. If you guys have never done a Boolean search or done like a SQL search, but there's a thing that's called an asterisk, right? You know, it's like this. If I do asterisk at, and I say, go to agile.com. So if you look in the Q&A, or sorry, in the chat, if you put an asterisk in front of an email address ending like this, and then Google it, you will find people that have the nomenclature that it's the way that you format the email. Okay. And that's, so if you know the company's real email address, or you know at least their web address, do this search real quick. Just do asterisk at their web address on Google, and then you'll start seeing things, whether it was a press release or something that's out there in the public, and it'll say, oh, okay, I got the format now. It's chawkins at gotoagile.com, or it's clint.hawkins at gotoagile.com. Once you have that, and then you see a usual, kind of like your usual suspects here of like, who could be the hiring manager, start rifling messages to them. Just start sending them a message and saying, hey, I saw you had some roles posted on your team. I think I can add value. Here's 3 great things about me, or three ways where I add value in the past. Can we set up a time to chat? Don't send them full-on cover letters. Do not send them a PDF because they'll get stuck in their spam. Don't send them a Word doc because they'll get stuck in their spam. But to send them a note that's simple, that gives them a call to action to chat with you. And here's a couple, and I'm going to wrap up here in a minute. So if you guys don't know me and you want ideas like this, or you want us to do another session like this, please ping me on LinkedIn, and I'll help you out with this, or send me an email after this webinar. Most people are looking at your resume in the middle of doing other stuff. Okay. I could have 3 or 4 windows open, jumping back and forth between my projects, and depending on my focus, I might go through the 300 and only like I go and flag 30. For you to send me an extra email straight to my inbox, and it says, I don't know, some like marketing project manager, I can help, or Clint, I could use your advice, or I can help your team. Looking for opportunity, like, nah, not looking for opportunities. That's used too much, but a quick subject line in the body of that email, and I want you to pretend this is how they're going to see it. Not on Outlook, but they're going to see it on their phone. And you want to get their attention in a quick email here that says, I can help your team. I saw the posting. We need to chat. And you need to throw out any head trash you have that you aren't the person that can get the job. That, well, I'm just one of the 300. Nobody's, yeah, I'm lost now. No, like, show up in their inbox in a different way and to say, I'm here to help. You've got business problems. You got things that you need to do with your team. I can help you out. And you have to like really believe that and send that message directly to that hiring manager or to that recruiter and push it. Like, don't wait. So, all right, guys, we're at time already. This was a one-way conversation, and I'm sorry I couldn't turn on cameras and mics and everything else. So we'll probably be here for like 6 hours if I do that. But if you guys need help, ping me on LinkedIn. I love doing this stuff. Our team loves doing this stuff. And if you guys need more ideas, please let me know. All right, y'all. I'm going to take this transcript and transform it in ChatGPT to make a guide for y'all. I'll repost it up on LinkedIn, and I'm going to grab the video and audio in here and repost it up to on YouTube and Spotify, and so you guys can have it for later. Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.